Welcome to episode 4 of Early Grounds. Today we talk to a good friend of mine, Lucky Thommadura. Lucky is a software developer. He has a company named Layer 7 Automation, and he's Sydney-based but travels all around the world and around Australia implementing software solutions through his software development company. I met Lucky 2 or 3 years ago. He's done some fantastic work for us, automating our fulfillment systems and our postage label systems, both through software and hardware installations. I'll put some links to his business in the podcast. I highly recommend him and his work. We hear from him today about his journey, a long, conservative, slow, risk-averse journey to his current position where he's now been in this business for around 5 years, prompted to jump into this through some circumstances driven by COVID. So we listened to him. We listened to how he found his way to where he is today, his path, what's been important to him, how he got here, and where he sees himself going. At the end, he summarizes what he would tell himself if he went back in time. Really interesting. Some little nuggets in there. So listen to the end, and hopefully you get something that's helpful and valuable to you. Welcome again to the Early Grounds podcast. Lucky Thommadura, buddy, welcome to the Early Grounds podcast.
Thank you, Dan.
It's our third attempt, mate. Third time lucky. Excuse the pun on your beautiful name, mate. Mate, you currently run a software automation business. I'm lucky enough to have some of your fine work in our coffee business, which has been a fantastic game changer for us. So I'll definitely be leaving some contact details for you. Should you be looking for new work, I know you're very, very busy, but I'll leave some contact details for you and your business as part of this podcast. But mate, how long have you been in that particular business? So it's called Layer 7 Automation. And if I can summarize, and please, I know I won't do it justice, but you focus on inventory management, factory operations, barcode scanning, deliverability, delivery chains. Please elaborate on what you do and what your core function is in that brand.
No, 100%. Well, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me. And I know you've been trying to organise the meetings and like we're both busy professionals, and it just comes with the job, doesn't it?
100%.
Yeah. So layers on automation. It's something that my business partner Bill Borsianis and I looked into a long time ago. We had the idea of we both work in this space. Our prior jobs before we made this company, and we've always seen how many customers are left behind purely because they don't understand technology, right? So we specialize in factory and warehouse automation, as you just mentioned. So anything mostly to do with the integration side of warehouse and factories. For example, with yourself, Dan, you had a good problem where you were reaching capacity with the setup you've had in your warehouse, right? And so to move on to the next level, you needed to buy equipment such as labeling machines, and you need to try and automate your workflows with your warehouse management system. And that's where we come in with the expertise and the domain expertise to then go, all right, Dan, we'll come in, we'll have a look at your current operations, and we'll see how you attempt at shipping your products out. And we then go, okay, well, we believe, you buy this machine and this machine, and we'll write some software to control and communicate in between. And, we believe from your current production output of X amount, you can achieve, Y amount. So that's quite typical of how we approach a lot of small, medium customers. We also do a lot of work for larger customers in space of retail, pharmaceutical, and their needs are not too distant to a lot of small businesses, but of course for them they want a greater output and greater efficiencies. So our real expertise on top of that is software. So it's something that I've been working with my whole life, and that's what we bring to the table. And my business partner Bill, he's been working forever, and so he's an expert in the hardware side. So we've got software on my side, hardware on Bill's side. And we're going to market, and that's how we're trying to solve customer problems.
Fantastic, mate. It's fantastic. Tell me, so you've been in software all your life. What was your first commercial venture? What was your first when you stepped into charging for your time and for your product? Did you do that by yourself the first time? Well, I imagine at the time you had some sort of, unless you were very, very young and still in school, you had a job that was paying the bills, and then you decided that you were going to step out and do things on your own. Is that your path? Is that how you went?
Yes, pretty much. So obviously, straight out of high school, the first thing I wanted to do is get a job, right? Get a job. And I actually remember driving around back then, before LinkedIn and everything. Back then, you print your resume on an A4 piece of paper, you go around, hand it in to different people, wear a nice shirt,
knock on doors,
and hopefully you get hired, right? It was great, and they got to bring that back, I reckon. But I really wanted to start working in tech from the get go. I felt like from a younger age, tech was, for me, it resonated so deeply in me. I guess that was just my path to walk. So obviously working at Dick Smith Electronics at the beginning, as a sales assistant on the tech side. It came quite easily for me. Just a matter of explaining to customers, like I did with my uncles and aunties and friends, when they go, "Oh, my printer's not working," or "My laptop's not working," we go, "Okay, well, what are you after?" I want to try and do something for work. I need a laptop for work. Okay, this one's, you're cost effective. This is your mid range. And this is if you got no budget, you want to go all out, right? So I guess in that field, I really enjoyed helping people, and I guess I had some skills in obviously understanding in-depth technology and passing that on to people who have no idea about technology, and explaining in layman's terms and connecting them to technology. So I was really able to firsthand work somewhere and then get paid to do what I normally do on a weekend.
Right.
So that's where I started.
And so you would you do that on the weekend, and would you do that for friends and family? Just help them installs and that sort of stuff.
We all have that uncle or that nephew that you call up and go, "Hey, this is not working, or my router's not working.
Help me with this." And, we still do that now, I think.
I was that guy.
Right. Okay. You were the one that got called. And so when did that shift into charging for your work outside of, you may have charged your family, but outside your family to, when did it become a business for you? When did that start?
Yeah. So Dan, obviously, I guess I had this wild idea when I was younger, and I didn't know much. One day running a business, right?
Okay.
So that seed was set in my head when I first started working after high school. Obviously, but I had no idea. Right, I had no idea about running a business. No one in my family was running a business. The idea was great, but I had nothing. I know, where do you start? Right? Where do you start? And I'm sure it's a question that a lot of people try to ask themselves and get stuck. And for me, I said, okay, look, at the time I just started university as well, so studying computer systems engineering. And I said, okay, look, I'll go through uni, study, and eventually look into something called an internship and see where it takes me from there, right?
Okay.
So I had no idea, but I knew I wanted to maybe potentially start a business.
Okay.
But I'll start working in other people's businesses and see, how it's like. Hopefully in the tech field. So obviously started in retail, but in selling computers, but moved towards the technology side. That was the goal. So I guess that's where it started. But then, give it about a few years later, when I had a couple of internships which helped tremendously. And having great mentors and managers definitely help.
Okay.
But I guess one thing that was lacking was even working for other people. I guess running a business was still quite a black box, right? You don't really get to see how people go out and bring in projects and how you network with people and prosper that way. So while working at my one of the 2 6-month internships I had to do during university, I guess that second internship really got me into the realm of software engineering. So I'm getting closer to where I want to be, I guess, or I thought I wanted to be and whatnot. So once I was there, I was able to work in software and actually start learning and implementing what I've learned and learning something new and putting that out into the real world. And we get to see how product is shipped out to customers, which is fantastic. And that's what I wanted to work on. Now, once that internship was finished, I then had to finish uni. Now I'm out in the real world on my own, get a brand new job full time. And during that time, when I landed a full-time job as a software engineer, I thought about, okay, can I run my own business? Right? I just had to ask the question.
The big question, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I've got a good mate of mine who is still a very good friend of mine, and we both, went to the same uni, same high school, and we both have similar aspirations. And we got together and said, like, hey, let's get together, let's figure out on a whiteboard, let's figure out what we can do and how we can offer that to customers. Right? And unfortunately, one thing that we still lacked is that understanding of, okay, what are we going to sell? What's our product? How do we start a business? Well, we did start a business, registered and everything, but unfortunately, it had a grand total of 0 customers.
Mate, tell us about that. Tell us about that. Can we dig in on that? Because I think that's really
absolutely.
If you've still got the data in your head there, can you 100%. Tell me about that? So you and a mate did a similar course, high school together, knew each other, friends. Decided that you wanted to get into business, didn't know at the time what it was going to be, right? So you're jumping into the unknown, but you knew you wanted to do something. You registered a business, you come up with a name, you registered a business, jumped in front of a whiteboard, and I'm not putting words in your mouth here, mate. You tell me where I'm wrong, but this is what I'm hearing. Jumped in front of a whiteboard, and did you get to a product stage?
We did have a product. And funny enough, at that time, it was something to do with the workflow management. So we were thinking, okay, from where we've all both worked in previous workplaces and current workplaces, we noticed there was a lack of having, I guess, a project management tool to allow the sales team, technical team, and any other team inside the company to transition through projects. And of course, these days we've got, Monday.com and so I don't know if I can do a plug. We've got a lot of project management tools these days. But back then there weren't that many. And we thought, maybe we can build this, right? So we whiteboarded something and we realized, okay, it's going to take us a fair bit of time to build. But then came, okay, well, who's our target customers, our target audience? And we were thinking very small businesses at the time. Now, that was great, but then I guess convincing small businesses to buy the product, that was another thing, right? And then price. I had no idea how to price. So how do we price it? Who goes out to customers and do we even door knock digitally or in person?
Are you guys still working in your jobs at this point, or have you left your jobs?
We were. No, we haven't left yet. So
you're still eating. You still got a roof over your head.
100%. We both got full-time jobs early in our career. We just both finished uni. So we've still got a long way to go. So at this point in time, we were asking the question again, saying, can we run a business? And after 6 months of deliberating, I guess the hard answer was still no.
Okay.
So we weren't confident enough to quit our jobs, I guess, take that leap and go out full 100% into what we believed in. So we weren't ready yet.
Okay, so that one, you had to go for six months. It didn't eventuate to anything. You still got your full-time job.
Yes.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. When did
Yes.
you? What's the time period then from that point to when you did take the leap and let's cut straight to the point where you left your full-time employment. What did you jump to?
Yeah. So just before we both cut the cord on the very first business, which we registered and got a little logo and everything for,
Yep.
I think we said, okay, look, how about we work in our full-time jobs for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it's going to be, until we get to a level where we're very proficient in our field. So we're subject matter experts, domain experts in that technology. Maybe by then we'll have a better opportunity.
Good on you for setting that plan and that
Yeah.
that pathway of
Yeah.
going and honing your craft for 5 years. That's quite a long time, particularly in these days.
Oh, yeah.
What was your first gig? Did you end up doing something together with this guy, with this friend?
No. So we didn't. So
Okay.
I guess we're still in great contact, and we do work together on different bases. But we never both eventuated running our business. I think purely because we both were in two different technology industries.
Yeah.
So that's when I met my current business partner, Bill, and we were working on a solution together. And at this time, I was actually working for Bill.
Okay.
And we work on a solution that a lot of people in our current industry didn't really care about or didn't appreciate. And
Okay.
so we were tumbling forwards on delivering these brand new solutions. There hasn't been anything like this in Australia before. And together we've actually made it and deployed it to a customer. But after that system was done, there wasn't much interest in the previous business that I was working with to follow through with that technology.
Okay.
And for me, I saw that as an opportunity. So I thought, okay, well, no one's taking this seriously. Maybe something that I can look into. And then ask the question again, can I now leave and start running a business this way? The answer was still no for so many moving part factors. So I left from that place to somewhere else, Dan, and then COVID happened, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
timing. And I had a gig where I was meant to go overseas to San Francisco and work on a team there. But of course, due to travel restrictions, I was locked down back here at home. And while this was happening, I was thinking about that other opportunity where, we had something really good going. And I reached out to, at the time, my old colleague, Bill. And I go, Bill, how you going? I'm still back in Sydney. I'm not overseas yet. And we had a conversation. And out of that conversation, obviously I'll get along really well with Bill, right?
Yeah.
We had this chat. We had this idea maybe, he goes, if you don't want to go overseas, we can look into this this venture together if you want, where you do what you were doing before, but we run a business out of it, and I can support you, and you keep growing it the way you were doing with the product. And I guess long story short, after a few months, I had a chat with Bill. We ended up opening a company name and an actual registered business. And we both approached a customer, and it's a customer that we knew that we sold the product to before, but then they were very interested about it, but they had no one to support them, and they were going through a restructure as well. So we approached them and just blatantly gone, okay, here's what we can offer you guys. Here's a product and software. Are you interested? And they said they were very interested.
So this is layer 7 automation. This is what's
correct. This is layer
turned
7
into layer
automation.
7.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So how old were you, mate? If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you finally turned the key on setting that up with Bill? I know
30.
you're still young. You were 30.
I was
Okay.
30.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting journey. It's an interesting path.
It is.
You had been thinking about this for 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
10 years?
About 10 years, yeah. And funny enough, Dan, I said by the time I turn 30, I need to know if I'm going to run a business or not. That was kind of my goal as well.
And you achieved it.
10
You
years
achieved
ago.
it. You were into it.
Yeah.
Well done. What do you think? What do you think gave you the confidence to ultimately, eventually take that leap I mean, you were in COVID, so you weren't actually in a role. You weren't, because your role was sort of paused because of the
I
travel
was still in a role.
restrictions.
I had a full time job.
Okay.
They were paying me handsomely,
Okay.
and I think I wanted to. Obviously, I can't stop moving. Right, I hate sitting
Yep.
still. And if I feel like, for me, if I'm in a role or a position and my job is to do X, Y, Z, and if I'm not doing that, Dan, I I don't feel right, and I don't feel right being compensated for not doing for not being productive. So
Which
for
is where
me,
you
I
were
was on.
at that point. You were there at
Yeah,
that point where they I guess there was some obligation, uh, be it morally or legally, that they had to
yeah,
keep paying you because you were in a role, but
absolutely.
you weren't able to actually do much. So I
I
get
wasn't
that.
able to.
So
Yeah,
you jumped, and then how was it? How was you had your first customer?
yeah, my first customer, and
Were you
that's when I
nervous? Were
resigned.
you scared when you jumped in?
Absolutely. So I remember I didn't jump
Yeah.
until I had an actual physical contract from the customer saying, "Okay, here's an order for the first job," and that order was like, it wasn't like, how can I put it? It wasn't fixed yet. It was just a almost like an MOU saying, "Okay, look, we're going to bring the order, but here it is." That's when I had to approach where I was, and I said, "Look, I've got this venture. I'm going to resign." They were in a bit of shock too. They was like, "Oh, we know you wanted to go. You're more
Yep.
than welcome to stay here." And they'll try to offer more money, right? And I'm like, "Oh, guys, this is very attractive, but I want to try and do my own thing. Whether I fail or succeed, I need to know. I guess if I can actually do. I've been asking the question for 10 bloody years.
Yep.
Now's the time. Now's time
Right.
to find out." So
Right.
so I resigned from that wonderful role beforehand. Beautiful role, great management team, great compensation. Oh, it was for me that was my dream job if I didn't want to run a business.
Right.
So I had a tough choice as well. It's like, do I leave my dream job
Yep.
and start something I have no idea about, or stay? So obviously I decided to jump. And the first 4 weeks, the amount of sleep I got was probably around 1 to 2 hours.
Right.
I was just nervous, right? It's like, finally I asked the question, can I run a business? And the answer was yes. And I go, okay, well, I got to go all in. So
Yep.
I'm all in. And at this stage, Dan, I've just been married. We just bought our first house. And we have potentially a baby on the way as well. So
So,
risk.
mate, you are in terms of risk. You are, you've gone all in, as you said. You've gone all in. It's all on the line. You have willingly, knowingly, voluntarily stepped away from your dream job into something that you are still unknown about, and everything's hanging on it. But you still did it. You still had the confidence. You still had the self belief. You still had, somewhere inside you, you still had the self confidence to make the leap. And I can see, I know you a little bit. And if you'd asked me, uh, 10 years prior to that, mate, I would have said jump because I knew it was in you. But what's really important is that you eventually found that yourself.
Yeah.
Um, and that's fantastic. And I think so. What are you, 5 years into Layer 7 automation now? You're 5 years old, 6?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We're 5 years in now, Dan, from when
And
we first
how's
started.
the journey? How's the journey been, mate? How are you feeling in year 6, 5, after that initial jump? How is it?
Um,
How's business?
Oh, look, business is going well, right? So we're growing, and that's thanks to, obviously, it's myself and Bill, and now we've got a team. Thanks
How
to
big's
my
your team? How big's your team that you've got working for you now?
Yeah,
Just so
yeah.
we're
So we've
relative.
got a few people. So I've got a couple of software engineers and a couple of hardware engineers
Okay.
that we pull around. Um, Now it's obviously, when we started, there was a lot of things I learned, right? Especially in my first business, a lot of things you learn.
Yeah.
And the journey for us, now, I'm sure it's the same in other industries, especially software. Software moves so quickly.
Mm.
Um, I went from working 9 to 5 to, 9 a.m. to 9 a.m.,
Yeah.
24 hours a day.
Yeah. I can vouch for
Um,
that.
and that is something you have to do when you're on a business, right? So at the end of the day, the buck stops with you now.
Yep.
So every decision, every success, every failure lies with you. So 5 years on, I would say it does get a little bit easier.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it gets completely easier. Um, and I guess you get these periods where you've got to ride the wave, and it's each time the wave comes around, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's a case of, do you ride this bigger wave or wait for the next one? I guess given what we were doing, being at the right place at the right time, really going through 110% with the opportunities,
Yeah.
and saying yes to challenging jobs and going, yep, hey, can we do it? Can we really do it? If the answer is yes, okay, we're going to give 120% on it, and we're
Yeah,
going to make it work.
and again, that's another thing I can vouch for. I've seen your work obviously here at Airjo, and you went 200% for me. You don't think you did, but I definitely felt that, and I think that's an important part of, particularly in your field, not pretending to know it like you do, but a super competitive space. So in terms of you being, reaching level of success, you need to differentiate, and one of the ways to differentiate is just put those hard yards in.
Yeah.
I think. And I think you've said you went from 9 to 5 to 9 to 9. How's your energy? When you're at in that last hour of the
Yeah.
day, are you still feeling good? You're still feeling like this is the right thing to do? Do you still feel that there's no doubt that this was the jump to take?
And I've had moments where it was 3 a.m. in the morning,
Yep.
and the next day was deployment, and we promised the customer that day, and we're 98% done, right? And
Yep.
the last 2% by 3, and we've been up, a day or 2 or 3, whatever it is. But then you hear all these voices in your head thinking, oh, what have you done, Lux? You had a cushy job. You could have, said goodbye at 5 p.m. and go to bed. What have you done? Is this what you want? And funny enough, I guess for me, growing up, this is what I wanted to do. This is my passion. I'm very good at it. And I guess it ticks all the boxes. So the answer is yes. So for me, at 3 a.m., when that question gets asked, I go, yeah, I'm dead tired. Can I go to bed? Possibly. But do I want to get this done? Absolutely. I want to see this finished. I want to see it deployed. I want to see the customer happy. And that really drives me.
Yeah.
So that helps with the energy reserve as well, Dan, and to keep going.
Look, that's a key spark in your success, mate. That you find yourself in that spot and you've dug deep and you find the right answers. What are you? Couple of questions that I've been asking regularly to people is what in your 5 years under this brand, can you think of a big mistake and a big wrong turn that you took that cost you not necessarily money, but that just cost you, that was clearly a wrong decision? Anything that springs to mind?
Yeah, look, there's always failures in businesses too. I mean,
Yep.
I'll be surprised to hear of anyone who've gone through, especially in the first business, and not made many failures, right?
Yep.
I guess we did have a bit of a huge failure in the first year,
Okay.
and that had to do with using third-party contractors or other people to help you out with your job.
Okay.
We've always had this belief where if we're going to have anyone work alongside us that we work together to deliver a solution with, we want to get to know them a little bit more personally and their business wise, and see and have a look at the products that they've deployed, right? So we need to know the products and service that they worked on, and to get to know them as to, what are their long-term plans, where have they been, what have they done, and what are the failures they've had. On this one job, we had to really rush on it, where the customers done a change request and they've gone, we want to add this part into your solution, but we really want it like in 2 weeks' time or yesterday, pretty much, right? And we're going, well, we better make this work because it's our first year. We need to really try and say a lot more yes and less no's in the first year. So we found this guy that was working next door, and we took a quick look at him and a quick look at his work, and it looks fantastic. We're like, you know what? This guy's work looks really good. Maybe we'll use him as a contractor to help us get things done. And long story short, his business went to administration.
While he was on your job?
Yeah, and we've obviously paid him a large amount to get the work done, and nothing was delivered, right?
Okay.
And that was hard, especially in the first year. So that was a huge blow to us. And we broke our golden rule of, look at the product, look at the service, but get to know that supplier a lot more before we.
On reflection, how would you have done that different, given that you were under a massive time pressure? What would you have done differently there to fix that, or not? To avoid that. What would you do next time?
So obviously, next time, if we didn't have someone that can, first of all, if we can't do it in house and we're looking for someone outside, if we didn't have someone outside, we would approach one of our other, I guess, integrators and ask them, "Hey, do you have someone that obviously because by now we've got a pool of suppliers, yeah, that
Yeah.
which we trust."
Yeah. So
We want
you've
to
got a
ask them.
bigger network now that you can draw on. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. But next time
But I
we
guess in that situation where you didn't have a network to draw on, there's not many options
no,
you can take there. I mean, you take the risk like you did. That one didn't pay
yeah,
off.
yeah,
Potentially you could go back to the customer and change the timeline if you could, but I guess
yeah.
that's part of that journey, mate. And I guess that's
It is.
in the early days, they're the risks that you need to take because you don't have that that network established in this particular instance. You take that risk. Some work, some don't. Get up and get on with it if you can somehow, and you always can. That's resilience
That's
is
right, mate.
one of the key
So we
pillars.
had little choices actually. Yeah, you're right. We have to take the risk, and it was
Yeah,
going to work or not. And for us, unfortunately, it didn't. But that's something you live and learn with. Yeah.
yeah, good work, good work. Okay, let's flip the coin. What about something that's equally surprisingly successful? What's been if you've got a story that was a big win for you that just came out of nowhere?
Yeah. So there was a one customer where we went in, and obviously we're showcasing our prototype technology. But that came much later on. We went in to just service a printer, just to pretty much wipe it down, give it a good clean, and then fast forward 2 years later, we've got the whole warehouse.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we enjoy jobs where we go in and the customer doesn't know us, but we're in front of the customer, and of course, little by little, every time we go back in there, we talk more and more. We have a look at what they have, and we suggest improvements. And so this one customer we had, actually, no, I won't use that one example. Try someone else. What would be a good example, like in terms of a big win in your eyes, Dan? What's a good way to?
it's a great return question, buddy. I think things that would surprise you that you didn't expect. So you can always plan and you can always dream about things, but maybe did something pop up somewhere that you just weren't expecting that on reflection is probably a good result of your hard work. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you can work 100 hours a week and
mm,
nothing new will happen, or you can
yeah,
work 100 hours a week and then something's just going to pop out,
yeah, yeah,
because you're still there, because you're still doing it.
yeah,
If you got
yeah.
something that just popped up, or
Could
maybe
I
you
say?
don't, buddy. Maybe you don't.
No, look, it's a lot of the time. Look, to be honest, a lot of the time, it's got to do with us making new relationship with customers, right? And then as we work through them, we're able to, I guess, uh, showcase more of our products and services, and we just slowly get more and more work from that customer,
It's
even if they're
interesting
third
actually,
party.
Lucky.
Yeah, yeah. So
It's interesting the synergy between, or the link between your actual your skill set and your profession and what you do with code, because code is very much it's a progression thing. Little step, little step, little step, little step, and it turns
yeah,
into something. You can have the vision, but you can't skip a step. You need to you test and return and test and return and test and return. And your path, your entrepreneurship path, reflects that sort of journey where you've been conservative right from the start. You haven't jumped, haven't jumped massively. You had conservative plans right from the start. Your risks are minimized. You're fairly focused on the direction, and that's probably why there's not necessarily any crazy things that happened on the left or crazy things that happened on the right, because
yeah,
you're strictly going forward in a relatively controlled manner. So it's a comparatively conservative entrepreneurial journey, compared to someone like me who, again, a little bit crazy cowboy. Some things work, some things don't, as you've seen me go. But it's an important reflection for people that are watching and listening. You don't always have to take crazy risks.
mm,
Risk is part of it, and you've taken risks on your playing field. So that's important, I think, for people to hear that the journeys are different, the
mm.
profiles are different, but there's success at the end. I mean, you come from your success, and I can see your success because I know you're working really hard, and I know there's more work coming. It's come from your approach and your vision for how you step by step get to where you're going.
Yeah.
What do you think, mate? If we had to wrap this up, I know you've got to go. If we had to wrap this up soon, what do you think if you could pop back to Lucky when he is, uh, let's say back in when he's with his mate, starting that first, where you started that first brand and that first idea, and you hit the whiteboard. If you go back to him, and the answer here, I'll let you answer. If you go back to that version of Lucky, what would you tell him? What could you share with him now that you think would put today's Lucky in a better spot?
It's an interesting question. If I were to go back and 10, 15 years ago now, what would I tell
Mm.
myself? Really, start sooner. Like
Wow.
start sooner, yeah, because about that time, the one thing, obviously, I took the most least riskiest path to get to where I am, right? And so it
Yep.
took a long time.
Yep.
And I think I would say take more risks earlier.
Okay.
I know it's probably easier saying that now than when I was younger, but looking back at it, there were moments where I've just parked things and go, oh, I'll come back to it. I'll come back
Okay.
to it. And I feel like life can get in the way. But if you've got something in mind, nowadays, my thinking is get it done now, today,
Okay.
not tomorrow.
Mate, that's the gold. That's the gold in this conversation. I think that's the
Yeah,
real nail on the head. Everything's been great, but that's really gold because it's something that it's gold for me because it's something that I encourage, and I encourage people to start. It's easy to say, and a lot of people say it, but just get on with it because you don't know, you don't learn until you're in it and you're amongst it. If you
100%.
if you wait till everything's ready, and you wait till everything's perfect and lined up and super safe, you may not get anywhere. Now you've been, your journey was long, and it's interesting to hear you say. You surprised me there. Interesting to hear you say start sooner. So that's really interesting and really valuable.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. That's
Okay.
that's my advice, and that goes to, I guess, every part of life, right? Because as you run a business, time management and your health management and everything else wise, you've got to keep rolling. You can't stop. And
Yes.
you got to keep growing. Got to keep learning. I'm always a student and a master, right?
Yep.
You think you know it all, you don't know everything yet, and I
Not
love
at
that.
all.
I love being humbled by someone who's got even more experience and listening to them. So really, obviously, having a good mentor goes a long way. Starting today is key, and that becomes discipline. It's the most important part. And I guess practicing these things day in, day out, and becoming comfortable with failures,
Yes.
where things don't go the way you want it to go, and going, okay, that's okay, and learning from that and trying again, and just never giving up. Hey, there's
Nice,
no
mate.
such thing
Really
as
good.
giving.
Really good. That's
That's,
fantastic.
that's what you got to have. I think everyone that I know who's given up, well, you don't hear their story as to what happened afterwards. But the ones that haven't are the ones that are, I guess, still
Fantastic.
going.
Fantastic. Yeah, mate, and that's really, really good. I mean, that at the end of the day, the things that you've just summed up there, after our long journey in this conversation, are very, very core to everybody's journey. So it's great for you to sum it up, and it's great for me to hear that you've summed it up, that they're the key things for you as well. So, mate, that's fantastic. Mate, I am going to, I'll grab from you the details and stick them as part of this podcast for people to reach out to you. And I highly recommend, from my experience, not just because you're a mate, and you are, we've developed a great friendship since we met each other commercially. Your work through Layer 7 Automation is outstanding. Your commitment to getting the job done over and above what the customer expects, again, speaking from experience, is second to none. So I will highly plug you, buddy, with great confidence that there's some great work out there waiting for you. Congratulations on your journey so far. Thank you again, mate, for being part of the podcast. I really value your input and your contribution.
No, thank you very much, Dan. Appreciate it. And it's been lovely working with you as well. Hopefully, we can work more together in the future.
There's plenty more to come, I'm sure, but there's plenty more. Mate, thanks again, and we'll catch up soon. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Dan.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks.